I'd like to call to order the city council meeting. Is camera on?
Yeah.
Okay. September 11th, 2024, city council chambers. Roll call, please.
Ms. Belcher?
Here.
Ms. Terry?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Fowler? Mr. Washington?
Present.
Mr. Rubin?
Here.
Mr. Gallardo?
Thank you. Okay, we have one item we have to, is to amend the 2024-2025 operating budget for storm preparedness. I'd like to read the headlines of the ordinance. An ordinance to address a public emergency from Hurricane Francine, declare a public emergency, and to authorize the mayor to enter into any necessary contract with power line contractors, tree trimming, or trimming contractors, debris removal contractors, and other contractors, providing services necessary for utilities and public works and other public services necessary for the city. To amend any current contract or existing contracts related to thereto, to ratify contract executed by the mayor related to the city's response to Hurricane Francine and damage related thereto. To authorize the mayor and the city to enter into contracts and receive assistance from state, federal, and other public agencies for assistance or reimbursement for costs of any expenses related to services and materials associated with the city's responses to Hurricane Francine and damages and impact associated wherewith. To authorize the mayor to consider and to extend overtime pay compensation and benefits for city employees to amend the city's operation budget, to provide additional funds and authorization expenses related to declaration of emergency and otherwise provide respect thereto.
Moved by Mr. Fowler, second by Ms. Belcher.
Public comment? Mr. White?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Being 9/11 and everything, we need to thank our firefighters, police officers, and all the civilians that died on 9/11. And it's just strange, they had to put a fire out over there at Pineville at their city council meeting. They're trying to get rid of their mayor. And poor Shakola, I don't know what happened with Project Enough. But
Sir, is that?
I wish,
Sir,
wait a minute, hold up, just here, I'm gonna stay on topic, I'm gonna stay on topic. Look, I'm gonna stay on topic. I wanna know how this notice was put out, because News Channel 5 didn't have nothing on it. And all the other things, how did y'all put this out without the public knowing about it? Now, somebody notified me, so I'm asking, why wouldn't News Channel 5 or Jack with Urban Cast or the newspaper or some way of, come,
This has nothing to do with the publication here, sir.
but what I'm asking is, if you want the public to comment, how they gonna comment if they don't know nothing about it? That's what I'm asking.
Thank you for your comment, sir.
But it's not right, Jim, come on.
Thank you, sir, for your comment. Okay, Mayor, would you like?
What'd you say, man?
Mayor,
Come on, Mayor, you need to talk, man. Don't do this, don't do this. Don't get me out of here, cause you're gonna have the lawyer on top.
all in favor? Any opposed?
I was asking if there was further public comment.
Vote record.
We need to discuss the amount.
Yeah, the amount, I'm sorry, the amount has been changed, since we don't. So
Guys, time out, what is happening here? Y'all are just, first of all,
Oh, you want?
you were still in public comment.
Yeah. Public comment.
That doesn't mean Mr. White gets to continue public comment. You have to ask if anybody else has.
No one else signed up, sir.
And then secondly, we don't have a change. We now need to give comment to what the ordinance request is.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Sorry, Mr. President. This is a pretty simple item.
Yeah.
In every approaching hurricane, once it's declared and we are at risk, we do a similar thing. It looks like it has moved on folks, thank God, but unfortunately for others who are fellow Louisianans, they'll be facing more of it. It was my idea, Mr. Guest, to ask, I think, Ms. McGill's to contact you and let you know, and then we didn't want to change it necessarily until here. The thought is we normally move $500,000 just every time. without seeing the dangers that we saw, that seems like a lot of money to need to move now. But I talked with David Johnson, who was somewhere here, right here, and asked him, and I just asked him out in the back, do you want to change it? He said, leave it, you'll just deal with it at the NBA. It is immaterial to the budget to do it, I know we won't spend that. What happens in these situations is, because it has to be for an emergency, there's a line item and a code for each thing that would be for that. So it's not moving something so somebody can do something else with it, none of those wild conspiracies that people think. That's not how it works in a budget that is audited and that comes up clean in those audits. It is simply to have those funds available if you needed to authorize excessive overtime, et cetera, that we normally wouldn't have in those areas. We also then assign a specific code for anything designated as an emergency. We've been in it for 2 to 3 days. Once we saw that we were probably not going to be affected, Jim, you sat here with us and we appreciate that. I asked you to sit in for a minute and just look at how it is. We converted council members to what we call a tabletop. So knowing that we're not really going to face it, or hopefully are not right now, from your military experience, we just then convert it to a tabletop and go through ourselves an exercise of all the things we would normally do without spending the money, prepping people, converting to our different incident command system, getting everybody to respond, seeing where everything is, looking to see that all of our warehouse and materials are ready. So we just convert to an exercise. We declared a full emergency yesterday. We I think continue to, you go ahead and do this today as you're doing it. I don't think we would spend that, but if you tell me, David, that you want to leave the money the same, I don't have any objection to it. And remember, it can only be spent for that. If we don't have that to spend it on, it's not spent.
Can Mr. David get up here and talk?
I got a question.
Please don't speak from the audience.
Well,
It's
I'll
not up to
speak
Mr.
from the podium if you want me to.
Sit down, sir.
Listen,
Wait a minute. Y'all don't need to arrest me, see, then call the lawyer, because y'all are lawyers too. Now, I have a right to speak and ask
you've
questions.
already spoken.
But hold up, Mayor.
Mr.
I
White, you're out
asked
of order.
Mr., what's your name?
It's not up to you to ask my employees what to do, Mr. White.
Not what to do,
It's
but
not up to
the
you.
public needs their answers.
I've just
Sir,
answered
please sit
the
down. Sir.
No one in the public is asking this, but you're disrupting it. Come on.
Sit down.
Yes. No one in the public has contacted, and the public can see where the weather is, and no one at all is interested other than the purposeful disruption that you're witnessing. And that's exactly what it is, and all of you know that.
The only question I have is, the governor declared, emergency for some parts of Louisiana. So all we can get reimbursed just in case. I don't understand the move to exercise.
And that's why we want to go ahead with the meeting as a tabletop here. Great question. So how it would normally work, Mr. Johnson, that is a perfect reason to have continued to have the meeting anyway, so that y'all are also actually doing a tabletop of how it would work in a real one. We have to get to a certain level of FEMA approved funds. So the reason we will declare an emergency is from the declaration forward, those funds that we would spend that we take care to make sure and code correctly and all are reimbursable. But the reimbursement amount has to be an area like ours, once declared by the governor and by us, has to receive that amount of damage, storm-related, documented properly, to meet a threshold. I think the threshold is still, for the most part, 750,000 or more.
So we're at 600 now.
600,000. And so until you reach that, it's not reimbursable. Hence why we ask y'all to appropriate 500. When we see that we're probably going to be in an unlikely meeting the threshold, but we would receive significant damage that comes out of us. So that's the purpose of your 500,000, is if this were going to be, we won't have the wind event anymore, but we're going to have significant rain. Well, yesterday we were still thinking, at least in the morning, from the reports, there could be still significant rain, which would have justified the need. So we go through a whole deal. We start staging all of our portable generators and pumps at certain areas. So for your district, Spencer is there. We start preparing to do a reverse 911 to Spencer Street. We go and circle it. I make a call directly to citizens. We tell people to get sandbags. We stage up sandbag areas. All of that gets done. At this point, all of you can follow, we just don't see that you're gonna face something that heavy. But having that in there, if we need to go clean up, in theory, with Alexandria, if it had hit even close to us, will we provide other assistance? We'd probably do it a different way, Trey, than through this, but we might would. If one of our neighbors proximate to us was directly affected and we were not as much. I don't think you're gonna see much of an event, as of right now. But it helps us and it helps you to know in the next event, this is why we would hold this meeting. So for any of the members who haven't done it, that's why we do it. The $500,000 came from it being an amount that's right in that, under the 600, 750, because that's where it would be on us. It would be on our dime. We've had to appropriate way more than that until we get reimbursed, because this is all reimbursable. It's not like you get a check from them tomorrow. You have to document the spending and then submit it, and all that's approved, you get reimbursed for it later. I don't foresee at all that this is a reimbursable event, even for our prep up or anything, but we're not gonna have spent a lot of money to meet the thresholds. Most of what we did in table topping is verbal. We went through, made sure everybody, all the division heads are designating their people, watching what's gonna happen. Probably any expense was just staging up the cleaning, which we're gonna do every time. So there is gonna be some additional expense, and you're gonna need to move the money, and it'll be for that purpose, for cleaning out rabbit runs, drains, et cetera. That needs to happen before any event where we think the rain's gonna be that significant. There were some good posts, by citizens about cleaning out things that, I saw. One from, Shelley Jenks in particular, I saw one that was just a good post to remind people, look, the city can do things, but we've got to all be looking at our streets and cleaning out those catch basins, et cetera. And I think if Mr. Gill's here too, where's Mr. Gill?
Yes.
We've gone out and earlier in the month we did it for that event. We did a big clean out and we followed up with another one. So things should be really flowing well. I don't think you're going to see the event, but it was a good exercise for everybody. I'm sorry that y'all were called out to do this today and could have been doing other things. We debated this morning on whether at 8 a.m. I did, whether to just tell you to call it off if you don't need it. And we opted to go ahead and take you through the full exercise when it's safe, when we're not under the gun, so to speak, to let you see this is how we would go through it. I'll answer any other questions you have.
We'll go ahead and vote on this.
Can the public ask a question?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Roll call vote?
Ms. Fowler?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. Rubin? Yes. Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Ms. Belcher?
Yes.
Ms. Perry? Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
We have 7 yeas, motion carries.
Okay, I'd like to, wait, no. Okay, just before we, I just wanted to, thank everybody for coming out and thank Alderman Robert Gordon from Vidalia, Mississippi. He's here visiting with us as, just seeing how we go through procedures and everything. So just wanted to acknowledge him and thank him. Thank you. No further business.
The ordinance is signed, that's rare too, for me to sign one during the meeting. Our emergency ordinance, nothing. Have we ramped up, and just before they adjourn, have we ramped up anything that is paid out of this already under the ordinance, crews or otherwise? So it's good that, the ordinance is signed. Mr. President, sign the ordinance. This normally doesn't happen today, while I'm joking. Normally an ordinance lays over and it doesn't happen all in one day.
You had a press conference scheduled.
I did, it was to go over what I thought would be, for example, some of Cornelius's questions and all, to make sure that the public understood why we would still move $500,000, but we did it just now. So it was just in case y'all came in quick and moved on if I needed to follow up. But everything I would have said at that, I just said in your report. And we did it on purpose. We thought we'd probably have to.
We need your.
Oh, if the weather had been bad, we'd have had more to say.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Drive for the time being, man.